and welcome to SureenaSpeaks, and in this video I'm going to cover what is the role of a pharmacist, because believe it or not, we don't just stick labels onto boxes. It's a very long overdue video and I think it's one that is more important than ever to discuss. I will be specifically talking about the role of a community pharmacist because that's what I have experience in. So, what does a pharmacist do? Well, let's have a situation. You go to the doctor gives you a prescription for, say, an antibiotic, you come into the pharmacy, you hand it over to the pharmacy team. What happens next? Well, firstly, the pharmacy team, pharmacist, is going to clinically check that prescription. So what does that actually mean? Well, it means that we're going to check that whatever medicine is written on there, medicines, depending on how many you've been prescribed, we're going to check that that medicine is right for you. So based on your age, your weight, any other medical conditions that you have, any other medication you may be taking, whether that be over the counter or something else that has been prescribed, we need to make sure that that is right for you, because shock horror, doctors get things wrong and doctors do make mistakes, but that's why pharmacists are here, to double check doctors' work. So we're not pretend doctors, because actually we have a very different role to doctors. And the way that I see it is a doctor has an abundance of information about different conditions, but it's the pharmacist who's the expert in the medicines, which is why I've never really understood why the degree medicine is called medicine when actually it's pharmacists who are the experts in medicines. But that's a debate for another day. But we double check doctors' work. Who double checks our work? Well, there are systems and procedures in place within pharmacy teams to make sure that your work is getting double checked. And this will vary depending on pharmacy to pharmacy. But it's a great responsibility that pharmacists have, which I don't think people appreciate. We need to make sure that the doctor hasn't got things wrong for you and that you are prescribed the correct medicine and that it is right for you. So as well as that, we also need to check that it's legally valid, because the way in which a prescription is written can really depend whether or not it's valid, especially if it's a medicine known as a controlled drugs, and these are pretty hardcore medication. So methadone, morphine, for example. If it's not written in a particular way, it's therefore not legal. So again, we're having to check that actually this prescription is legal. It's the reason why we give wait times. You might have a wait time of 10 minutes or 15 minutes, because we need to make sure that all these particular checks that we are doing so, and that we're doing it for each patient, because believe it or not, you're not the only patient that we're having to deal with. We're having to deal with many, many patients. And so we need to make sure that your prescription, we're giving our dedicated time and attention to. And, you know, you'll have a patient who's waited in a GP surgery for maybe an hour, their appointment has overrun. But by the time they come to the pharmacy and we say, okay, this will take about 10 minutes, we're the ones that get the abuse and we're the ones that get shouted at. Not really fair. Don't get me wrong, it's completely should not be tolerated, abuse for for anyone, especially those working in GP surgeries. I know receptionists get it a lot as well, but so do pharmacy teams. Just because we're front facing and we're at the front line of the healthcare profession doesn't mean that we deserve any form of abuse. Nobody does. We're trying to help you at the end of the day. And so when you're shouting abuse at us, that you have to wait a whole 10 minutes because of something that we want to make sure that we're getting right for you, pretty uncalled for. As well as that, pharmacists don't just deal with prescriptions, we also deal with advice. So for example, if a patient wants to buy something over the counter, a pharmacist may intervene in that. There's been many a times when I've had a pregnant lady asking for a particular medicine over the counter, and I've had to intervene because that medicine could cause potential effects, harmful effects to her baby. And that's just one example of many. So we are there to provide advice about even common conditions that you may have, coughs, colds, etc. You don't always need to make a GP appointment. Your pharmacist can be your first point of call. And actually, we will give you that advice that you need. And if it actually seems like maybe something is a bit more severe, we will give you that advice whether or not it's worth going to the GP. But as a first point of call, you don't need to go to the GP and make an appointment. And let's be honest, trying to make a GP appointment can be really, really hard. They are, you know, so overworked, but so are pharmacists, but we can take some of that burden off the GPs. So come to us, see us. Like I said, we can then provide you with the necessary advice and the next steps to take. We also provide many services, so from flu jabs to travel service clinics, hair retention programs, blood pressure and cholesterol checks. Pharmacies, they do vary, and many of them provide many different services. So again, there's so much that you can get out of seeing your pharmacist. Pharmacists do have a different role to doctors. We aren't pretend doctors. We don't just stick labels onto boxes. If you're a pharmacy that's affiliated with a care home, for example, we're also checking, making sure that all those patients that are in the care home are given the correct medication at the right doses, in the right forms for them, etc. Pharmacists and pharmacy teams are the biggest multitaskers because there's many different things that we're having to constantly think about. Many pharmacists and pharmacy teams will turn up to their pharmacy an hour earlier than when they're meant to open, and many will leave much later when it closes just to make sure that they're not sinking. Pharmacy teams, it's no secret, they are massively understaffed, and so the burden that we have at the moment, the stress that we have, there is a lot of responsibility we have, but the bottom line is there is a lot that pharmacy teams, community pharmacy teams, can help you with. So you have a very easy route to see your pharmacist. You don't need to make an appointment in most cases. You can just go into the front door and speak to a pharmacy team and speak to your pharmacist. They should be your first point of call. Pharmacy teams aren't given the credit that they do deserve and disrespected, which is why terms such as pretend doctor and all that we do are stick labels onto boxes, it is pretty offensive. So the next time you go into your pharmacy and you ask for some advice, or you have a minor ailment, or you're handing in a prescription, please do respect what the pharmacists and the pharmacy teams are saying to you, and please do be kind to them, because ultimately we are here for you. So I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, why not give it a thumbs up? Share, like, subscribe. Do also visit my Facebook, Instagram and Twitter page. And until next time, thank you for watching.